Contractors Association. We'd like to welcome you to basically Roofing 101, everything you should need to know about your home roofing renovation project. This is Marge Biggs.
Hi, nice to meet all of you. I'm with Roofworks in Elk Grove. I've been in the industry for over 40 years. I enjoy the whole thing, the whole concept of roofing, being a roofing contractor, helping and guiding people to make the right decisions.
All right, a little bit about CRCA. CRCA is the leading trade association for roofing and waterproofing in Illinois. It's made up of steep slope and low slope roofing contractors. Members are contractors themselves, manufacturers, distributors, architects, and consultants who are all involved in the roofing work. CRCA's mission is to unite the industry stakeholders to provide education and resources by networking and enhance industry standards. We are, believe it or not, the oldest roofing contractors association in America, right after the Great Chicago Fire back in the 1870s. And yes, believe it or not, we used to use horses on roofs, replacing them, but not anymore today. As of today, CRCA has a large membership of 350 plus members. There's 129 contractors, which are licensed and insured roofing professionals by the state of Illinois. And then 233 associate members consisting of distributors, so companies that distribute the material to your roofing project, manufacturers, all the manufacturers that make the products, architects that specify and design, and roof consultants who are basically architects specifically for the roofing industry. All right, how to select a roofing contractor. This is probably the most challenging part because there are hundreds, if not thousands, in Illinois. We're here to steer you towards our members. To be a CRCA roofing member, you have meet a bunch of criteria to become part of our association. The first aspect of it is the contractor must be licensed with the state of Illinois. There are two licenses issued by state of Illinois: limited roofing license, which is only for single family homes or townhomes, 8 units or less, and then an unlimited roofing license, which means you can roof any building, whether it's a library, a school, etc. To verify that your roofer is licensed, you should either ask him for a copy of his license, or you can search online the Illinois Department of Professional Regulation. Also, to be a CRCA contractor, you must have workers' comp, general liability, and professional liability insurance. When a company applies to become a CRCA member, they have to submit their insurance to us, and we have to approve it to be able to get into the association. Workers' compensation is insurance that covers all the workers that are going to be performing the work on your home or property. General liability is insurance that covers the actual business if anything else happens along with the roof project. Safety, the biggest aspect. All CRCA members must have a comprehensive safety program for their employees and all their subcontractors. All these programs must follow the strict OSHA guidelines that they have set for us to perform work on your property. Commonly includes PPE, which would be safety glasses, hard hat, cut-proof gloves, fall protection, which in residential is very limited, it seems, but we're pushing harder and harder that all of our contractors do. Ladder safety, electrical hazards if you have power lines near your house, and then weather-related hazards, which we've seen this summer with heat. Whatever the temperature is outside, you can add 20 degrees to what it actually feels like on the roof. Municipalities permit required. So every city, municipality in Chicago is different. Schaumburg here does require a permit, which the roofer is required to get. Most of them do require inspections throughout the project, with the most common being ice and water shield inspection, which we'll get into ice and water when we get into the components. But be sure to ask your contractor that if a permit is required, they must receive it before they start any work. Otherwise, they will get shut down. Another best practice when hiring a contractor is referrals. Request a list of 10, maybe not 10, but names and numbers of recent customers within the last 12 months, or simply call and ask friends, relatives, people that you know, neighbors who have replaced their roof and get their honest opinion. That's the easiest way to know who you're hiring and bring into your project. Another important aspect of the roof process is getting a detailed written estimate. Make sure everything is itemized on this list of work to be performed, a timeline, and payment schedule and warranty details. Make sure there are no hidden terms. Ever since contractors are growing and growing here in Illinois, they've really gotten good at hiding terms and requiring things that might not be so normal or common for our industry. Home repair and construction, know your rights. This is a handout I have over here. Excuse me, I forgot to have one with me. This is a document from the Illinois Attorney General. It's required to be given to you by your contractor. On the back, you'll see the Consumer Rights Acknowledgement Form. This is where you sign and the contractor signs once you review all of your rights for having somebody do work at your property. It's very important because it's a good guideline for make sure everything goes correctly and properly until the end of the project. A big thing on here is you have number 4 under contract tips. You have 3 business days from the time you sign a contract to cancel it at no cost to you. There's a lot of roofers out there that say as soon as you sign that you're stuck with them. That is not true at all. You can use this document to have backup to get out of a contract in case you get pressured into it. And if you're over the age of 65, you actually have 15 business days to cancel or void a contract. Any questions on this document before we move on?
No, I've never ever received that, the Know Your Rights document. I'm surprised to even know about it.
Yes, 90% of contractors don't give this out when they're giving an estimate. So please ask for it on this goes for any work you do at your house, not just roofing. You get a deck replaced, the patio, et cetera. All right, now we're going to get into the roofing system components. Everything that your contractor is going to be doing on your house in regards to replacing the roof. So the first thing that needs inspected, it's the only way to have a good proper roof, is the roof decking. Generally, you're going to be remodeling your house, which the plywood, depending on how old your house is, needs to be up to code and the proper thickness to be able to accept the new roofing system. Typically, it's made out of plywood or OSB, which is strand board, which on the top left, you can see the difference between the two. These are fastened directly to your roof trusses and rafters. The roof is no good if the decking is not good below it, because the shingles are nailed directly to it, and that's what holds the roof in place. Drip edge is required by code and goes around the entire perimeter of your house. That's that piece of metal, the brown metal that you see them nailing on there. There's specific requirements for how that is applied. At the gutter edge or at the eave bottom of your roof, that needs to go underneath the underlayment, so water sheds out over on top of it. Yes?
Are these slides at the CRC website?
Yes, they will be, and then we're going to actually post all of these out. Yep, after this. Mm-hmm.
One more question.
Yep.
I got the plywood. My house has got 1x6s. I think they nailed the boards. My house is 1969 built.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on my second roof. I'm at that 20-year mark. Oh, long story short, it's a small house, simple roof. I walked it, and when they were putting on the second roof, 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
what gets me is they're pitchforking all the old shingles off and stuff, but they're hammering the nails back in.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time there's going to be no room to put another nail in?
Over time, yes. Sorry, I have to repeat your question. His question was, when you're replacing a roof multiple times, the contractor re-nailed the nails in instead of pulling them out. Yes, over time, it is best practice to get them pulled out, because in a single roof system like on your house, holding down all the shingles is, say, 15, 20,000 nails. It doesn't seem like that much, but it really is. So yeah, if they leave those in there over time, it will help deteriorate. And also, it could be a bad thing for future. If those nails aren't all the way in, they can actually back out and puncture through the shingles over time, causing your brand new roof to fail early.
Yeah, well, if I got up there and, they, start pulling, but, I can still hear them, tapping them. I can still hear them tapping the nails back in, so. And I walk around the block watching roofing jobs, and I can hear all tap, 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 So I'm just saying, how do I get around that? Because replacing all those 1x6s is gonna be a small fortune in the future.
Yes, best way to do that going back is to put a new, which we do quite a bit in older buildings, is you put a new layer of plywood directly over those 1x6s. And that gives you a nice, flat, smooth surface for the new roof.
Yeah, okay, let you go, but, I don't have any plywood and just got the coverings that you got there, the water and all that, so you can still see it through the cracks in the crawl space.
Okay, yeah, in the attic.
I got no plywood, so, all right, thanks.
So yeah, strip edge, this goes on the entire perimeter of your house. This is what needs to have strict requirements to be fastened, because this is where you're most susceptible to wind uplift, where if that's not fastened properly, that could lift off your roof from the edges.
Just a quick note to everybody, whoever's wanting any questions, speak into the mic and bring the mic as close as you can to your mouth so that it gets recorded. This is connected to the speakers. The speakers. Hello. There's another mic, I'll bring that one out. But Kevin can also repeat the question.
Yeah, I can do that going forward. Drip edge is a big thing to be sure your contractor's doing. You don't technically have to do it each time you replace the shingles on your roof, but it really is best practice to have a new drip edge on, because once the new roof's on, you can't change it out. It's applied underneath the roof. All right, ice and water shield, kind of the biggest component of the roof itself. Required here in Chicago with all the terrible, snow and ice that we get in the wintertime. It's a waterproof membrane that protects the vulnerable areas from ice dams and wind-driven rain. The idea of ice and water shield is that when the shingles are nailed through this underlayment, it actually seals to the nail itself. And that way, if water gets underneath the shingles, it can't go in the hole down the nail because it's sealed to it. It's required by code in all the eaves, which is down here at your gutter edges, your valleys, around any penetrations like skylights and pipe penetrations, and then chimneys or walls of the home. Anatomy of an ice dam, which occurs very, very commonly here in Chicago. So everybody thinks an ice dam is a faulty roof problem, and it's actually not. What happens with an ice dam is you have heat loss from inside your home if you have poor insulation in your attic, which causes the heat to rise and melt the snow on the top or main part of your roof. As it melts, it comes down to the bottom by the gutter, and that's where you can see it's the exterior of the home where the overhang is. It'll refreeze there because it doesn't have that heat anymore, and it'll cause an ice where you'll see the ice dripping down the gutter, overhanging. And as soon as it forms that ice dam, the water that's coming down from the melting snow has nowhere to go. So that's where it backs up and gets inside the house. So the biggest part to prevent ice dams is to make sure your attic is properly insulated up to code and to have proper ventilation, which we'll get to at a further slide of ventilating the attic to helping the roof perform. Next, before the shingles go on, we have the underlayment. We talked about ice and water shield. This underlayment goes on the rest of the roof where ice and water is not required. Typical products nowadays are synthetic, which is a product kind of like Tyvek that you see on the sides of homes. It's a lot stronger and more durable than the old school 15 and 30 pound felt. It's tear resistant and will not it'll keep your roof watertight until the shingles are applied. This is a problem we've been seeing quite a bit in the industry lately, where you have ice and water shield where you're supposed to at the eaves and the bottoms, and then your felt goes on the rest of the roof from there. The ice and water itself is a sticky membrane, so the shingles over time heat up and get stuck to the ice and water membrane themselves, which then in 20, 30 years from now when you go to replace your roof, you can't take the shingles off fully because they're embedded into the ice and water shield. Good practice that most people recommend now is still have your ice and water shield per code, but then run the underlayment all the way down over the ice and water so that it creates a barrier for your shingles not to stick to the ice and water. It's a little bit more material of covering up that and doing it twice, but it will really save the roofer and yourself problems down the road of completely removing the original roof.
So that felt underlayment goes all the way over down to the gutter.
Yes, over the ice and water shield.
Okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Typically, and it's not required by any code or warranty issues by the manufacturers, but it really is best practice to do that to help the roofer in the future get everything off. And next, the first part of your shingle system itself is a starter strip. It goes along the eave or the gutter edge and then up the gable ends of the roof. On these starter strips you can see the little tar dots going along the bottom. It's little strips of tar that help seal the first row of shingle to that, help prevent wind uplift and keep the roof from blowing off. And then you have the roofing shingles themselves. There are generally 3 types of shingles, of asphalt shingles. On your left is the 3-tab shingles, which are an older style. They generally don't put these on anymore. In the middle is your architectural, which is most common now. It has a higher wind rating and it's a thicker shingle than the 3-tab that's on the left, which is why everybody is going to them now. And then on your right is more of like a designer or luxury series shingle. These are heavier weight and provide a different look than your standard architectural from there. Algae, one of the biggest eyesores of the roof. Oh, yes.
I had a question regarding the types of shingles.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are metal shingles which are coming in and they are supposed to be much more durable.
Yes, there's metal, there's synthetic, there's wood shakes, there's a ton of different products. Metal is becoming more popular nowadays, whether it's metal shingles that are made to look like asphalt shingles, or you see the metal panels standing seam that goes on some homes now. All have their benefits and cons, but asphalt shingles are generally the most common practice due to their price point and availability. Algae. I'm sure you've seen the black streaks on your roof that just kind of get there over time. Algae is an airborne substance that creates black stains on your roof. It can promote premature rotting, granular loss, and cause the shingles to break down over time. Depending on the manufacturer, shingles are built nowadays with warranties in them that you will not get these streaks for 10, 15, or 20 years. That's a big thing to look at to see what shingle your contractor is proposing, is to see that algae warranty. A lot of times people replace a roof just because it looks old with the streaks on it, even though the shingles are fine themselves. After all the shingles on, you have wall flashings. Wall flashings are metal pieces that seal roof edges and intersections to prevent leaks. They go along walls, chimneys, and perimeter edges. On your right here, or on your left here, is called a baby tin step flashing. Along a wall, those little L-piece metal flashings go in between each row of shingle. And the idea is that when water hits one of them, it comes back out on top of the shingles as it goes up the roof. These are very important that they're done properly and put in between each row of shingles, not below all of them. Because as soon as if it was just below, then the water would never get back on top of the shingles, and it would just run inside the house on the underlayment. And on the right here shows, so you have your step flashing that you can see over there are underneath here along the wall, but then you have to have a counter flashing that covers over those. With a brick wall, you'll see this metal counter flashing that's generally either cut in or just attached to the wall with a bead of sealant on top to protect it. Siding conditions, if your roof runs into a wall with siding, the siding acts as that counter flashing and you don't need that piece of metal itself. It just goes right over the baby tin step flashings. Valleys, there's two types of valley. You can weave the shingles through like they're shown on the left, or you can install a metal valley called an open roof valley that lets the water run quicker out. It does change the aesthetics of it looking at the roof itself, but generally the metal valley is a better detail, as valleys are kind of the one place that is the first place to cause an issue down the road when the shingles age. Penetration flashings. Every single projection penetration on your roof requires a flashing. Typically plumbing pipes, electrical pipes, skylights, and then dryer bath exhausts. Plumbing pipe would be from your toilet, which is over here on the upper right. There's two types of flashing with those. That is a lead flashing. The other common type is a rubber boot that just seals around the bottom of it, so then you can actually see the pipe itself sticking up. Lead is best practice, and would recommend you telling your contractor to use lead going forward. It's a little bit more expensive, but the lead flashing itself will last 75 to 100 years. When a rubber flashing getting the sun all day will crack after 10 to 15 years, causing you to reflash the pipe before the actual roof needs to be replaced. On the left picture, upper left picture, is more power comes into the house. We see a lot of roofs nowadays that people just caulk around that roof because you can't slide a pipe flashing over it because of the wires. So they make these fancy split boots, they're called, that wrap around the pipe, and there's a little clamp on it, so that way you can get a proper penetration to it. But a lot of contractors just end up sealing it with caulk, which is not best practice. Your vent down here is a bathroom or microwave or laundry exhaust. It's very important to have these on your roof. A lot of homes we come into, the bathroom, your Brown vent or your fan in your shower as you run, it just spills into the attic, creating moisture in the attic. It's very important to run that up to a vent like this so that the moisture and hot air gets out of your attic. Same with your microwave or your laundry.
So I have a question related to that.
Yes.
And I don't really know where my venting is.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not on the roof, would y'all be able to change that?
Yes, our contractors will go inspect where they are if they're in your attic, and then be able to cut in one of these vents wherever those are in the roof and flash it in properly. Not to say if you don't see these on your roof that it's not vented out. A lot of times they can vent them out through the soffit of your home, which would be in this area here. Or sometimes if the bathroom's right against the wall here, the pipe or the vent pipe can come out and then come out through the soffit, and then the heat escapes there with the moisture. Okay, now roof vents. Roof ventilation is probably the most important concept to getting your roof to last and controlling ice dams and getting the full life expectancy out of it. There are a bunch of different types of way to vent a roof. Typically, you have nowadays a ridge vent, which is on this middle lower picture here. This is a vent where before the last row of shingles or cap shingles are on top, the plywood of the attic is actually cut back so that heat can escape through there and vent out of that vent. Typically, you'll see on the middle upper picture, roof vents scattered around the roof. That's most common practice, but everybody seems to be going to the ridge vent nowadays. Either one is fine as long as your contractor does the correct calculation, which I'll get to on the next slide of how to figure that out.
Question. And the ridge vents,
Hold on, you hold on 1 second for that microphone. Yeah.
I got a buddy of mine in Naperville, you know, they can make a nice house, whatever, and it was built new, and, you know, he had a ridge vent. And he told me, I don't know how many years later, but he went out there and he sent something out in the crawl space, and snow got in there. And he like yanked out like, you know, 5 buckets of, you know, regular snow out of that, you know, so I thought these things would be like, you know, snowproof.
They're supposed to be. The issues that sometimes will happen is on lower pitched roofs, when it's kind of low slope. They're meant more for steeper to where it can actually shed it quicker.
This is, you know, I don't know what the pitch was, but yeah, it wasn't one of these, you know, cathedral, really.
Very steep A-frame, yeah.
Yeah, well, he went back to the buckets, whatever.
Yes, the mushroom vents.
Thanks.
Yep, no problem.
What about the ones on the right? What are those? The last picture?
This one? These are your soffit vents. So when I get to the next slide, you'll see if these are used to balance your attic ventilation throughout. So you have an intake, which is at the soffit, and then an exhaust, which would be either the ridge vent or the roof vents up top, which I'll show you here in the next slide. So here's a diagram of how the roof itself vents. Don't worry about all these little words that you can't read. So the idea behind ventilating an attic is that cool air will come in here at your soffit, down by your gutter, and then run up into the attic space so that heat will rise up through the top of your roof. So it's important to your contractor to measure and make sure it's an equal amount of ventilation down here at the eaves and up at the ridge. Because if you have just the ridge up top and nothing down here below, it doesn't flow properly. So when you have a balanced ventilation system, that's when it performs the best and heat can escape quickly.
So my question is related to that. How does a contractor do that? Do they get into the attic to make sure?
Yes, so the ventilation requirements are all based on your square footage of your attic itself. There's a math diagram down here to where he would have to calculate how much vents are at the bottom of your soffit, and then calculate for, say, example, a ridge vent, how many linear feet of that. And then there's a math equation to make sure that it's balanced between the two and they equal out. So a lot of homes, a contractor might come up to you and say you have a ton of ventilation down at your soffit, but there's only 4 or 5 roof vents on your house. We need to add 5 more roof vents to be able to make that equal. So a good thing to ask and make sure that he did the calculation before designing the roof or installing the roof. A lot of cities and municipalities require this calculation as part of the permit process, that you have investigated it and took it into effect.
And you need the blue foam, you know, so your insulation's not blocking the.
Correct, so
Yeah, I had low-end insulation, and they had a guy staple in the
baffles.
the baffles, right?
Yes, correct. So you need the baffles there to stop your insulation, because if the insulation goes all the way to the underside of the deck.
Point out the baffles of those blue things.
Yes, these blue things here, and then on the left there, you can see it a little bit better. That's a insulation stop. so that air can move from the soffit all the way up. Because if that insulation goes all the way, then you have air just down here and air in the attic, and it's not properly ventilating through. Any more questions on ventilation before we move on? Here is a newer product that we are using to where when a lot of homes, if you see on the left, there is no soffit. You see the gutter right up against the wall and there's no overhang, so nowhere for air to get into the attic. This is a product called an intake vent where it's applied on the roof where you can cut the plywood deck itself to allow air to flow in through that vent into this attic to help balance the ventilation system. You can see it on the left-hand side there. That black line across, it does raise the shingles on top, but it's just simply a vent that goes in between the rows of shingles going across. All right, now we're going to move on to roof warranties. There's two types of warranties that you should be asking for from your contractor. One being the manufacturer's warranty, which covers all of the products that they're putting on your house and the roofing system itself. And then a contractor's warranty that covers all the labor and installation of what they did on your home. Now, with these warranties, they all pretty much offer the same kind of warranties where there's a good, better, best situation. So I'm going to go through GAFs just because it's simplest for me to explain. So your standard warranty covers manufacturing defects on the shingles themselves. It covers all the accessory products, the ridge cap, the starter, the underlayments that go along with the system, but workmanship is not covered at all. They're simply giving a warranty saying that their product was created or manufactured to meet the specifications required to be a roof shingle, be a waterproof roof system. These are typically for residential 50-year limited warranties with the first 10 years where they cover full of the material itself. Then after year 11 through 50, it prorates from there. Standard warranties are fully transferable to the next homeowner in case you sell your home. There's no additional cost for this warranty. You could buy the shingles from Home Depot and you would have the warranty automatically. It just comes with the way that they produce the material. There's no contractor or installer requirements to provide this warranty. The next warranty up within GAF, we'll call it the good warranty and the standard good, better, best. This warranty covers the same, everything it did in the original one, but it adds coverage for workmanship for 2 years to where if the roof or shingle itself fails, they will cover the workmanship for that. Tear-off costs are included when you have this warranty. So in the standard warranty, say if the shingles were faulty from manufacturing, they'll only provide you with new shingles themselves. They won't cover any of the labor, any of the disposal to put on a new roof system. This warranty is generally required by a certified contractor, just somebody who is registered with the manufacturer, not necessarily their highest standing. For GAFs and most of these, for this good warranty, 3 of the GAF accessories must be installed, whether it's your starter, hip and ridge, ventilation products, but you could use 3 from GAF to get this, and then everything else on the roof could be off-brand or additional manufacturers. There is a slight additional cost for the good warranty. The next would be the better, covers everything that the first 2 did, except it increases the workmanship errors to 10 years. Disposal costs are also covered when replacement is needed. And for this warranty, it would be the highest level of contractor rating to be able to give you this warranty. And then it ups where you have to have 4 accessories to be able to get this warranty. And it does increase the cost of getting the warranty. And finally, in GAF's version is the Golden Pledge warranty. This is where it increases the coverage for workmanship up to 25 years, to where if a GAF certified contractor or any other manufacturer, if your roof fails or there's a leak or a blown off shingle even occurs, GAF pays the contractor that put your roof on to come out and fix it at no additional cost to you for 25 years. Disposal costs are also covered for if the whole roof needed replacement because of a warranty issue. And then this is where only the highest master elite contractors for GAF would be able to do it. With the highest warranty, no matter what manufacturer it is, every single part of the roofing system has to come from them, all of the accessories. And even on the highest warranties, this is the only one where GAF will actually come out and inspect the roof before they issue the warranty. They want to make sure everything is done according to the way it needs to be.
All right, so pick a warranty, what happens, I see a lot of houses in the neighborhood with solar panels. Does that violate any rules of the road here?
It doesn't necessarily violate it, but if a leak occurs because of the solar panel install or flashing for those, then that is not covered under the shingle warranty. But it doesn't void the warranty by putting solar panels on your house.
I've got a question.
Sure.
In a typical permit situation, what would that be the closest to?
The typical permit?
So are these higher than what your municipality would require under a permit?
Yes, the municipalities don't require you to get a warranty at all. This is strictly for your peace of mind, your property, your investment.
No, that doesn't quite answer it. Okay, so I guess I'm saying, can I bypass it by just getting a permit? Or are you saying these are typically above permit requirements?
These are typically above permit requirements, but to do the roof, you have to have, you have to have a permit no matter what. But this is more between guaranteeing it's gonna, perform all the way through the end of its life, is the warranty. Mm-hmm. And then your other warranty that you should get from your contractor is the contractor warranty itself. This will cover their workmanship for the work that they did installing the roof system. Typical contractor workmanship warranties are anywhere from 2 to 5 to 10 to 25 years, even though 25 is usually not the case. 5 to 10 is your kind of standard contractor warranty that you'll see, depending on who you give. But it is a big thing to look at when vetting a contractor and deciding who you want to go with. Then, once your roof is replaced, some good common practices for the next 20 to 30 years is to inspect the roof, keep all the gutters and downspouts clean, because if these get clogged up, that's where water can back up from the gutter and get back into the roof. Trim overhanging tree branches. You don't want any tree branches close to it because it could puncture the shingles itself. And then if you have a severe weather effect, it's good to have a professional roofer come out and inspect before the next one. Margie, before we get to that, do you want to talk about waivers?
About what?
Waivers.
Oh, sure. Okay, generally speaking, can you hear me okay? Generally speaking, when the final comes, usually you're going to give them a down payment, but the final payment, you will ask for a final waiver. Sometimes you can ask for a supporting waiver when you give the initial deposit, and it shows that you've paid $X according to the contract price. It'll show the contract price, it'll show your deposit, and what your balance would be without any extras. And these are your affidavits so that you can prove that you paid these and that they have waived all lien rights to lien your house for any given reason. So it's a good typical thing to ask, at least minimum, at the end of the job, just say, you know, you can come and get your check, I'll sign it, but I need a final waiver of lien, which says all the materials that were purchased for that have been paid for in full, the labor has been paid for in full. And that is your warranty on that end, in case there was anything that would happen down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good practice to get, not even just for roofing, any major thing you've done to your house, whether it's windows, doors, I don't care what it is, always ask for a final waiver. Mm-hmm. Protects you.
It speaks about waivers on this Know Your Rights home repair by the Illinois State Attorney. It gets a little bit more in depth on them, but it is good to have for peace of mind. So down the road, nobody can come back for you saying you didn't pay.
And one more real important piece of work, paperwork, is their certificate of insurance. You always want a certificate of insurance showing the limits of the liabilities and the workmanship, and you want to see your name on the certificate. You don't want a generic one that's just a general one that they show you they have insurance. You want one that shows your name, your address, and all your criteria on it. It's really important too. It's one of those two most important papers you're going to get with your contract.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a question?
I do. Not about waivers though.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, when looking at older homes, what are issues to be wary of?
The first sign of an older roof is the granule loss, where the granules that are embedded into the shingle just fall off over time, and you can kind of see the fabric that they're molded to when they're manufactured. So that's generally the first thing. Algae streaks down a roof, those black streaks, that's another kind of dead giveaway of how old the roof is and how much longer it has. But that's generally the two things to look for.
Well, have roofing standards changed over the years? I'm talking about 100 years old house.
Yes. Even if the house is 100 years, I'm sure it's had multiple roofs on it since then. Nothing really lasts that long, especially asphalt shingles. So yes, the products have gotten better over time and will continue to get better. All right, CRCA. Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we can wait till the end, you know, but something popped in my head with algae.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like researching roofs every year. That's my hobby. It's like, do I need a roof? I mean, year to year, I make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at that point, but I feel like they were like embedding copper, or they put these copper strips, like these algae protectors or
Anti-algae, yes. So
is that just a scam? Because my buddy just got a roof on like couple months ago, and I was like reading through the spec, and they said that in the granulars, they'll laugh at me,
mm-hmm.
but it's got something that's supposed to be like cleaning the air, you know, like your atmosphere, because I always go there, like you got the, you know, I make jokes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, your air is so clean over there. I mean, he didn't buy it because of that, he got it because of the insurance, but
Sure.
that's what the roofer put in. But I thought all this copper and these air purification granules are some sort of a marketing thing.
It is, but they do embed copper granules in the shingles themselves, and that's what keeps the algae off for 10, 15 to 20 years. Strips are a common practice too. The idea with those is when rainfall hits those and it washes down over the shingles, it keeps the algae off and cleans it as it goes.
What is the purpose of the granules on the roof?
Color and to protect the asphalt and the felt behind the shingle. It's just what it's made of. All right, next I'm going to take you to crca.org so you guys can go on our website and see. We have all of the resources that we talked about here today. So here under member directory, if you click this, depending on where you live or where your project is, you can actually type in your zip code and choose, for example, we'll do, so 403, we'll do mine, and then click steep slope, single family residential, if that's what you're looking for.
Can you put in 60193?
Oh, yep, no problem. I couldn't remember the zip code here. Try that again. 60193. And hit search, and this will show you all of the contractors that are CRCA members in your area. Again, with all the insurance work that's going on and storms, it's very important to go with a local contractor, somebody that you know, somebody that's been established here. So you're not hiring somebody from out of town that's just here because they heard a storm roll through. Because if you have an issue in 1, 2, 10 years from now, you're likely never to hear from them again. So if you type in your zip code, this gives 64 results, all within, you know, a radius of Schaumburg, with all their information, work that they do, and a phone number to give them a call at. Yes, Marge is. Also on our website, go back. Under resources here, down at the bottom is a tab called Steep Resources. This explains everything about steep slope and gives a bunch of resources for you to use. You've got a link to check to make sure your contractor is licensed, that he's not just giving you a fake one or a fake number. Frequently asked questions. This is the State of Illinois Home Repair Act, that is the handout we gave you, and a link to the Better Business Bureau. But also in here gives all different types of the manufacturers, components of the roof, and how-to videos and warranty comparison, kind of like what we had in the slide here today. And one more resource for you guys to look, whoever your contractor is proposing as the manufacturer. On this resource here, you can click GAF, for example, and it takes you to installation videos on YouTube of all these different items that you can watch and learn, and so you know what's going on as your roof is being replaced. We hold an annual trade show every year in Oak Brook Terrace. It's usually the first or second or third week of January, where it is a very large trade show, one of the most attended in the country, where all the vendors, manufacturers, architects, all have booths that you can go around and learn about their products, get information on it. It's a free event to attend, and you'll meet a bunch of contractors there also that can help you with anything that you need.
So Kevin, if somebody's not able to go to the show and if they have questions regarding, any of the information, do they contact the Chicago Roofing Contractors Association?
Yes, contact them directly, and then they can help or steer you in the direction of contractors or manufacturers, any question that you need.
When is the show?
January 15th and 16th.
January 15th and 16th this winter. It's at Drury Lane in Oak Brook.
And it's more than one day too. It's not just a one-day event.
Yes.
But if you can get it through here.
Yes, that would be under events, trade show.
Registration won't open until closer to the show.
Lisa is the CRCA.
I'm one of them.
Yes, she's one of them.
It's typically contractors that you can go see,
Yeah, all the seminars are for members only, unfortunately, but you can still walk the floor and meet and talk to, if your contractors are proposing a few different manufacturers, it's good to meet them and they can explain anything that you need before your roof gets done.
You'll be very surprised. I mean, it's quite large.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a long time to go through everything, and there's, like he said, contractors, vendors, you name it, they're there. And it's very interesting and very informative.
Mm-hmm. There's what, tens of thousands that attend a year? Thousands?
Depends on the weather too.
Yeah, it's usually the coldest day of the year,
Yeah.
which is good for roofing. And with that, that concludes our presentation. If anybody else has any more questions.
I do have one question.
Sure.
About the solar reflective shingles.
Yes.
Comparatively, how much more expensive would they be? Your asphalt?
Quite a bit more.
Significantly? Okay.
Yep, yep.
Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, here for a little bit.
If you wanted to replace your roof
Mhm.
and also add new gutters, which one would you do first?
You can technically do both separately, but it is best to do the roof first. That way, if you replace the gutters and you have brand new gutters at the bottom, the demo of the roof itself is challenging not to damage or affect the new gutters. Not that it can't be done, but extra precautions needed. Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much. So very informative. Appreciate all that effort you have taken to put this together. It's very good information. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you.